Hey there, this is Dr. Renee Pleasant of Pleasant Leadership Consulting, where we inspire your leadership freedom. So, welcome back to the last video in our series entitled Leadership. And today we're going to talk about leadership blind spots. And I'm going to tell you right now, I took all this fantastic material from my mentor, John C. Maxwell. And I'm going to list the blog the podcast that I took this from in the notes. So if you're interested in listening to his podcast, I highly, highly recommend it. He is a phenomenal speaker, and he's just got a plethora of great material in his library. So I'm going to go ahead and just go ahead with this series on this video. And again, it is just a recap of his wonderful, wonderful podcast. And I encourage you to listen to him. And he has these wonderful worksheets that you can listen to and take notes on. And if you miss anything from his podcast, it comes with an answer key. So winner on that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about some of the common blind spots in leadership. So as a leader, you need to first admit you don't have it all together. You're going to have some blind spots. Most people have blind spots, but few people see their own blind spots. And we see ourselves based upon our intentions of our activities, but ironically, we tend to gauge others based upon their actions. So as a leader, we have to admit that there is a double standard, and you have to be honest with yourself before you're honest with other people. So many people can be hurt by a leader's own blind spot. And to be a top-notch, effective, strong leader, you have to be aware of your blind spots, and you have to make those accommodations for those in order to be the best effective leader possible. So there are 6 blind spots that are noted here, and that leaders need to be aware of. And the first one is your singular perspective of a situation. So this all boils down to how you look at any given situation, and it's what separates a leader from a follower. You see, a leader looks at any situation under the perspective or through the perspective of one thing. Leaders say, what or how will this affect other people? So that's their single perspective. How will it affect other people? But a follower is going to say, how will this affect me? So your perspective is it a me perspective or is it an other perspective? And that is the number one blind spot you have to think about. Is it a me or others? The other blind spot that leaders have to be aware of is insecurity. And as humans, we all have it in some degree, in some form, in some area in our life. So, is insecurity one of your blind spots? So you remember Jeff Foxworthy, you might be a redneck if? Well, here we've got some things. You might be an insecure leader if you have a hard time giving credit to your followers. You might be an insecure leader if you keep information from your staff. You might be an insecure leader if you keep staff from being exposed to other leaders. You might be an insecure leader if you feel threatened by growth to your followers. Or you might be an insecure leader if you micromanage. The third blind spot for leaders is devaluing people. One of the things I love about Maxwell is he tells you, and you can hear it from his heart all the way up through his vocal cords and out his mouth. Believe the best in people, and you will get the best out of people. Point blank. The fourth blind spot for leaders is an out of control ego. Oh my. So the root of that out of control ego typically is pride. So here's a quote from Ezra Taft Benton, and it says, pride is concerned about who's right, and humility is concerned about what is right. So to be a great leader, we need to focus on what is right rather than on who is right. The fifth blind spot that leaders need to be aware of is the lack of character. I love how Maxwell brings clarity to the topic of leadership. And he does it in a wonderful job right here when he talks about character. He says very clearly that character protects our talent because talent is never enough. He says that when we put our values, thoughts, feelings, and actions, and they're all aligned, that a person becomes focused and our character is strengthened. You see, the character is the sum of our daily decisions. It's the sum of our choices. We have to protect that as leaders because we're role modeling that for our followers. So, leaders, what do your daily decisions look like? All right, leaders, this is our final blind spot. And the question is, are you choosing to live in your weak zone or are you choosing to live in your strength zone? You see, your strong zone is very intuitive. We naturally play up our strengths. That's easy for us to do. But our weaknesses, or sometimes called our blind spots, that's a little harder because as a leader, we want to downplay that. We want to kind of push that aside and we don't want to bring attention to that. But that's not necessarily the smartest thing to do. You have to assume as a leader that you have weak spots. You're human. You're not going to be strong in every area. So you're going to have to ask those people who are closest to you, the people who know you the best, and you're going to have to ask them, hey, can you help me identify my weak areas? Can you help me identify my blind spots? And then you're going to have to openly discuss them with your inner circle. You're going to have to ask those people to reveal them to you. And then you're going to have to build your dream team to protect your blind spots. You're going to have to find somebody who's strong in your blind area that you can trust, and they're going to need to come up and they're going to protect you in your blind spot. So find people who complement you, build your team, and empower them and value them, so that you don't have to do it alone, and you're helping to build them. So that's what leadership is about. That's what coaching is about. You are their blind spots. They are your blind spot. And together you are working stronger and harder, or smarter together, not harder alone. So it takes honest conversation, it takes trust building, it takes relationship building, and it doesn't happen overnight. It happens over a period of time together. Thank you for watching this video. And as I mentioned at the top of the video, I will be dropping in the link for the John Maxwell podcast. I highly recommend that you watch it. He goes into greater detail. This is just a breeze of the podcast itself. This concludes our series on leadership, but we are starting a new series on team management, and I invite you to subscribe to our channel so that you can watch all the upcoming videos that we have on that. If you would like more information on leadership coaching or business consulting, please contact us at www.pleasantleadership.com or contact us at 813-412-5663. Until our next video this coming Friday, please have a stellar day each day that we're away, and I hope that you lead your team well until we see you again.